Welcome back to another episode of Tech Talks Daily. I'm your host, Neil C. Hughes, and today, once again, we're going to be diving into the captivating world of fintech and wealth management technologies. Because our guest today is Ryan George from a company called Docupace, and he is the Chief Marketing Officer. And Docupace, if you haven't heard of them, are a leading cloud-based fintech platform that has revolutionised the way financial services and wealth management firms process and digitise data. And with more than 15 years of experience under his belt and a track record of double-digit revenue growth, today's guest is no stranger to success in the world of fintech. So today we're going to explore all the current trends around fintech, the ongoing back-office revolution in wealth management, and the future of financial advice in an increasingly digital world. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to Dallas, Texas, where Ryan is waiting to dive into these intriguing subjects and the impacts of technology around them. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Ryan. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So my name is Ryan George, and I am the CMO, which is the Chief Marketing Officer for Docupace. Docupace is a back office platform in the wealth management space, so a technology that allows business to be processed quickly, automated, eliminates key entry data, as well as being able to integrate and route to all the necessary parties that are core part of the wealth management industry. So as Chief Marketing Officer, I get to oversee lots of fun stuff from, brand management to market research to product development and everything in between. So it's an exciting job. It keeps me on my toes.
Awesome. And I'm looking forward to learning more about Docupace in our conversation today. But before we do, I always like to take my guests back in time and learn more about their origin story. So would you mind sharing your journey in the financial services industry and what led you to becoming the current role as CMO at Docupace? Because I feel there's a story there, right?
Sure. So I think, the way I can frame this story is I'm here because I got sacked. And what I mean by that is I worked for a previous company, a broker-dealer, which is a different area. So in the wealth management space, but more in the financial advisor provider space. Then we sold that company in 2019 to another provider. And like buyers often do, they have different ideas about who should work there. And so I was, cordially shown the door and ended up knocking around for a bit before I ended up here at Docupace. But that's sort of the current part of my story. I grew up in PR. I worked for a mutual fund company in San Antonio doing PR and have diligently spent, all of my career inside the wealth management space because it's something that I have the benefit of being both passionate about the industry in general and then able to have the skill set to apply that to my profession and what I do today, which is, unfortunately a rare thing to find and something that I'm, very blessed about.
What a great story. Absolutely love that. Almost a moment of serendipity. And one of the reasons that I invited you on the podcast today is to dive into the fintech and wealth management tech trends. And I know this is a topic very close to your heart. So in your opinion, which ones are truly transformative and which ones might be overhyped? Because we are seeing a lot of overhyped trends in our news feeds at the minute, but I'm curious what you're seeing.
Sure. I mean, I think we're on the tail of it, but I think clearly crypto in that area, I think was overhyped, especially with it from an investment standpoint and dollars flowing it. I think it was a market that to say it got overheated, I think is way too strong, way too little. It was more than overheated. And I think that area that had so much hot money, people were trying to catch something that was sort of not real. So that's one area. I think an area at the moment that is, currently fully in the hype machine, but also could be a little bit transformative if applied correctly, is AI. I think, you see AI pop up in, conversations on The View over here in the United States. You see AI conversations pop up on general news programs. And I think that's a general signal that something different is happening, something big is happening, but we're such an early stage of what AI is. I don't think I've seen a whole lot of true business application that can make it transformative just yet. However, I don't think it's too far away. So right now it's in the hype camp, but we're moving towards transformative. The ones that I think have been transformative thus far are mechanisms and platforms like Docupace that take what used to be manual and make it digital. And that's where I think AI can eventually come in, which is take things that used to be 3 people manually reviewing paperwork or filing it away and being able to make that digital and store it in a way. I think that's one where it's been transformative. The other one is in the sort of overall management of a portfolio. I think that's something that, going way back to the 80s where you used to have the store stockbroker with the white collar and the slick back hair, that has really ceased to technology, to where the technology with algorithms and mass pools of money can manage our portfolio just as effectively. And I think that's, definitely something that's transformed, because it allows the advisor to have more time with their clients and be able to have more personal connection versus, managing the money all full time.
And when I was doing a little research on you, I also saw that you talked a lot about a back office revolution in wealth management. So for anyone unfamiliar with that term, can you expand on what it means and why it's so crucial for improving the client experience here in a digital age?
Sure. So like most revolutions, I believe the back office revolution began with the COVID pandemic. Yeah. And the reason it began with the COVID pandemic is the area of business that had probably received the least amount of investment, the least amount of attention, the least amount of interest and excitement was the back office for years. You'd see all these new shiny tools be put in front of advisors and their clients, and everybody would get excited about it, and rightfully so. But they would ignore sort of what happens after that, right? So how does the business actually get processed and routed to the place it needs to be? And when COVID hit and people were no longer able to actually have a connection and actually have, be able to meet, I think that's where this revolution in business came from with investment, because they needed to digitize their business. They needed to, quote unquote, go through that digital transformation. And we're still riding the wave of that because we were so far behind. I think we're just now seeing the investment in that area shake all the way through and actually impact the day-to-day business of people in the back office. So I think that's, we're still probably in the midline of where the back office revolution is.
And I'm curious, how do you see the Docupace contributing to this back office revolution? And are there any examples or use cases that you might be able to share of how your platform has been able to play a part in transforming wealth management firms' operations?
Sure. So, Docupace, actually, the back office user is our Square. That's squarely in our main camp, right? So they are the ones that are the users of our platform on a day-to-day basis, right? So they're the ones that have their hands in it as much as possible. And so, those are the ones that we have worked with the most. One of the ones that I think is would be our biggest impact has been RBC Wealth Management here in the U.S. So they have a large arm, a large custodian within the United States that's based in Minnesota, and they have worked with Docupace to totally transform their account opening process and their account maintenance process, leveraging Salesforce CRM as part of key part, and then leveraging Docupace to open accounts and having those two connect together. We've been able to reduce overall processing time from days to hours, as well as dramatically reduce what we call NIGOs, which is our basically paperwork that gets rejected and sent back to the original sender because it is incorrect. So we've been able to significantly reduce that rate as well.
And the world has changed so much in the last 3 years. And I'm not just talking about the pandemic. If we look to the last 6 months, we've had obviously the rise of Gen AI, which a lot of people didn't see coming. And in the last week alone, I think Meta's Threads has reached 100 million users in 5 days. And nobody saw that coming either. So when I was doing a bit of research on you, though, I read that you had, I think it's something like more than $70 million raised. And Docupace is also serving some of the largest independent broker-dealers and RIAs. So I've got to ask, what unique challenges and equally opportunities have you faced over the last few years? Because it just feels that so much has changed, doesn't it? And will continue to change too.
It is a rapidly changing world. I have been at Docupace. I'm coming up on my 3-year anniversary here in September, and you're exactly right. I mean, even the Docupace company and the market I stepped into 3 years ago is significantly different than it is today. It's just the pace for people that are in it. They will, people listening who are in it will fully understand its pace. If I said it's 90 miles an hour, it feels more like 900 miles an hour some days. So, and as a CMO, you never get to rest on your laurels. You have to be able to move because opportunity windows open and close at a very rapid pace as well. with the funding, so we are primarily owned by a private equity firm called FTB Capital. They acquired a majority share of Docupace back in April of 2020. And what they have done is opened the door for us to grow. So we've, had a significant growth rate. We just celebrated our fifth year of double-digit growth last year in 2022. Hopefully we'll have the same, on pace to do the same so far this year. And I think that is something that we're in our 21st year as a company, that injection of interest and injection of capital has been able to help us propel ourselves forward, for a company that's relatively mature. And so I think taking that back office revolution in timing and FTV's capital, capitalization of the company, I think is where you find that sort of springboard effect of where we have with Docupace. And it's been a fun ride. It's definitely been a ride, and it's something that we're looking forward to continue.
And although it has been a roller coaster ride for every business, a big thing for you, you were recognised with several awards. I think one of them was the 2021 Gold Globe Award for Hot Technology of the Year, which is an incredibly cool award on its own. But I'm curious, how does such recognitions impact the work you do and your mission at Docupace? Do you take it in your stride? Does it inspire you to try harder? What impact has it had on the organisation?
I'm humble enough to understand that awards just don't come your way every day. So every award, regardless of who's providing it, I think it matters, and it matters for two reasons. One, it matters to the people we work alongside every day, because often their work can be invisible to the outside world, right? So they show up to work every day. They're working with clients. They're, programming, developing new sites for clients, developing new capabilities. And outside of our client base, the world doesn't see it. So as a CMO, it's my job to make sure others do. And I think that's something that's critically important to me, is not only do I tell these people that their work is valuable and critically important, but that the world tells these people that their work is valuable and critically important. And that's where the awards come in. The second thing is it often opens doors to new conversations with people. It gets you some level of, I would call it front door credibility for them to open the door and have a conversation. And so from a sales and marketing perspective, I think the awards like that help, when you knock on the door to have a conversation and they look you up and see that you at least have, received some recognition. I think that helps a lot.
And if I was to ask you to take a look in your virtual crystal ball and look at how these tech trends are going to change things in the future, we're already only really a matter of months away from 2024, which blows my mind on its own. But how do you see technology continue to altering the landscape of financial advice in the coming years? And equally, what role do you see Docupace plan to play in that future too?
So I think right now, what you're going to see today, tomorrow, and beyond in the industry is consolidation. Right now, there's 30,000 plus RIAs in the world. The broker-dealer industry has begun to consolidate. I think that will continue. So I think you're going to start seeing firms, big and small, come together to be able to provide economies of scale in order to effectively serve clients, right? So there's a baseline set of technologies, a baseline cost, in setting up a firm that has been rising, both from a regulatory needs standpoint as well as technology needs standpoint, to sort of deliver a first-class service to clients. I think that's going to continue. So, you'll find Firm A and Firm B and Firm C decide, hey, you know what, if we're all doing okay, but if we combine together, and form Firm D together, we could probably have a better effective delivery of client service and an outcome to our clients. And I think that's huge. Where Docupace comes in, I think we have, as you mentioned, we have historically served these large enterprises. And I think we are looking to come down market to meet those that are rising. So, for instance, that firm that I just mentioned, historically, Docupace maybe was a little bit too clunky or too expensive for a firm like that Firm D that I mentioned. Now that we have a product with our productivity suite that can deliver, the capabilities of Docupace to that smaller firm, I think that's where we're trying to do, is sort of find them in the middle and be able to help them grow and move forward.
And we will have people listening to our conversation all around the world today, and a few CMOs in there too. So considering your extensive experience and awards like the 2019 wealthmanagement.com Broker-Dealer CMO of the Year, what advice would you give to any CMO listening or a market leader in the fintech space to help drive growth in their organization? Because I think that is the one problem everyone's trying to solve at the moment and unlock opportunities. But is there any advice or tips you'd leave everyone listening with?
So first of all, growth is hard. If growth was easy, everybody would do it. It's just hard, right? So whether you're CMO, CEO, COO, CRO, however, growth is hard. I think first and foremost, look for opportunities where you can find friendly companies and peers and partners to grow together. I think that that's really important because you become a light that attracts others. And I think that that's important. The second thing is learn and read and be connected as much as you can. So, I try to find a new LinkedIn connection almost every day. I try to, when I go to an industry event, I at least want to come home with 5 to 10 new connections. And that takes hustle, that takes work to, build relationships with people. And I think those relationships are going to be the catalyst for your growth going forward. So, while you may be able to be a good writer or maybe a good digital marketer and do all the things sitting at your desk and working away, to really get that exponential growth is to do those other things, right? So to get out of your desk and go find the people that can help you grow. I think that would be my advice.
Fantastic advice. So we did start the podcast today talking about your origin story, and you've shared so many invaluable, unique insights from your journey and career and the experiences you've had along the way. And I want to see if there's something we can do for you now. Now, some of the biggest names in business, VC funding and tech have either been guests or listened to this podcast. So let's see if we can manifest something together here. So is that a person you'd love to have a private breakfast or lunch with? And who would that person be and why? Because he or she might just be listening to this. So let's see what we can bring up here.
So I have a simple answer. And I know Neil, you've built a great podcast audience here. And I'm sure it includes this individual. But Jamie Dimon, who's the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, is somebody I've idolized, not because he's been able to run the largest bank in the world for, almost 2 decades, but because he's done so with tremendous optimism for what the future is. And I think any business leader, especially CEO, and especially one from a company that large that has such a broad impact on all things, I think the optimism and perspective of, sort of having this chip on your shoulder that we're just the luckiest people in the world, and we need to make sure we're beholden to that. And I think, but have a humbleness to know that we're just the luckiest people in the world and we should be beholden to that, I think is something that I've always amazed me by him.
What a great answer. Absolutely love that. We'll send that out into the ether. Hopefully the universe is listening and we'll see what we can make happen there. Just promise me you'll let me know if anything does materialize. But before I let you go, for anyone listening, wanting to find out more information about Docupace, some of the things we talked about today in a little more detail, or even contact you or your team, where would you like to point to everyone listening?
Sure. So our website is Docupace, DOCUPACE.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. So linkedin.com/RA George. Would love to hear a chat with anybody. I'd love to make new contacts and learn about their business and see how maybe we can help each other.
Well, we covered a lot in a short amount of time there, from fintech and wealth management tech trends, what's worth paying attention to and what isn't, and also the back office revolution in wealth management, why enhancing how work is done is improving the client experience. And I think also the future of financial advice and how technology could change the financial industry in the coming years. So much to talk about today. And I hope other people listening will continue this conversation with both of us. But more than anything, just thank you for sharing your story today, Ryan.
Thank you very much for having me. I love speaking about this, and I love speaking with, very interesting individuals like yourself.
So a big thank you to Ryan for taking us on this deep dive into the world of fintech and wealth management technologies. And I, for one, gained valuable insight into the transformative trends in this space, and also obtained a better understanding of the significance of the back office revolution in wealth management, and also the promising future of financial advice in a digital world. And I love what they're doing there at Docupace in simplifying, digitizing and revolutionizing the financial services industry with technology. So I hope today's conversation has given you a little glimpse into how technology is continuing to reshape the financial landscape and the potential it holds in the future too. But if there's anything you want to add to this conversation, email me now, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, LinkedIn, Threads, Instagram, the ever-increasing list of social channels. Just look for @NeilC.Hughes and send me a quick message. But remember, technology isn't just about silicon chips and line of code, but the people, the ideas and the dreams that drive it forward. But more than anything, thank you for listening today. And until next time, don't be a stranger.